Going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Rambling Men Sports Podcast. I just had James on. He paused it though. I don't know what happened.
Sorry.
There he is. All right, James, what's going on? It's been a while.
What's up, buddy? Chilling, working,
You got to make that money.
Yeah. I said just chilling and working, same shit.
Yeah. It's been a few weeks. I've been meaning to have you on. Schedules didn't align. Finally, it did. Just in time for the Super Bowl. And I got to be honest, my man, that was an incredibly boring game.
I'm so sour that was like the last football that I'm going to see until September. It was so terrible. It was so bad. It made me so mad. Like, people were trying to, football purists, which is what the hell I am. Like, nobody loves football more than me. Like, that wasn't a good game. Don't try to tell me that was a defensive struggle and that was a good game.
No.
That's bullshit. It just wasn't a good, well-executed game. Like, there was plays to be had that weren't made. It wasn't necessarily defense. It was just
There were
bad.
some good plays defensively, but for the most part, the offenses just weren't.
Not
clicking.
that it wasn't. Not that the defenses didn't play like amazing, like they did. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't necessarily call that game a defensive struggle.
No.
Like I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't. I don't
Each
know.
side had at least one turnover. There were some missed field goals, and then I think I heard something like 7 3-and-outs in the entire game. I mean, you only touched the ball 12 times each side, roughly in a game.
Their only points were like a 50-plus yard field goal. That's it. A deep field
The
goal.
Rams and then the Patriots had that one drive that was like 5 plays, 60 something yards.
Made the plays when he had to make them.
Yeah.
People don't understand.
But yeah, just a very boring game. It was the fewest points scored I read in Super Bowl history. Final was Patriots winning, obviously 13-3. But let's talk about them for a little bit. This is now the Belichick and Brady championship since this dynasty got started in the early 2000s. And just a weird one to get your sixth. I mean, that honest to goodness, James, I'm every single Super Bowl with the Patriots has really come down to the wire. It's been one possession. But with that game, it was 10-3, and I just remember thinking, like, this is an insurmountable 7-point lead. The Rams aren't doing anything.
It felt close to me. That game never felt
No.
close. Even the Patriots weren't scoring points. They were actually dominating that game the entire time. Defensively, obviously, they weren't even moving the ball. They were getting 3-and-outs, but, like, they were actually moving the ball on offense. I just feel like Gostkowski missed one, right?
He missed at least one. I thought two.
He might have missed it. I think he missed one early. I know that for a fact. Yeah. He missed one early. I don't know. Tom Brady missed some throws. He threw that pick early. That was.
But you're right. I mean, the trend of the game was New England would get it to about midfield. The Rams defense would finally step up. They'd pin the Rams deep, and then the Rams would have like a 70-yard punt. Pin the Patriots back a little further. Then the same thing. They'd go to about midfield. The Rams defense would get a stop. They'd pin them. Yeah, and that was the trend for a while.
The Rams started so many drives inside their 15.
Yeah, you got to win the field position battle, and they did not. I'm trying to think of what else was going on. Obviously, Julian Edelman named MVP of the game, which is now sparking is Julian Edelman a Hall of Famer debate, and I can't even. I just shake my head. We both are shaking our heads right now. I hate this debate, to be honest. And this is a poll question, by the way. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
No.
Not even close.
He's a good receiver. There's a difference between a Hall of Fame talent and a Hall of Fame resume.
Yeah.
And if you have both, you're a shoo-in. But like, you can't just have championships and just be like he's an average receiver. He's a system player. You can't be a system player and be in the Hall of Fame. Julian Edelman wouldn't be good on another team, or he wouldn't be great on another team.
I was just about to say that. Put him anywhere else, I don't think he makes as much of an impact. Not saying he wouldn't be good. I don't think he makes the impact.
Being a good receiver doesn't make you a Hall of Famer, though. Period. And the Super Bowl MVP is nice, but is Nick Foles a fucking Hall of Famer?
No. And there was another receiver that for the Patriots that won MVP. Was that Deion Branch? Yeah, Deion Branch. He's nowhere. He's not even sniffing the Hall of Fame.
No.
But one more thing I wanted to talk about was Todd Gurley. Where the hell is Todd Gurley? What's his deal?
I was listening to Colin Cowherd, and like he's right. Like Sean McVay needs to get more shit for that. Either either he's lying and Todd Gurley's hurt, which is what I think. I think Todd
I
Gurley's
think he was hurt. I mean, just the way they were reporting on it in the game, you know, he was on the bike a lot.
They said he's 100%. He says he's 100% though, and or Sean McVay didn't play the best player on his entire team outside of Aaron Donald the entire game. Like Sean McVay had a really bad game plan.
Yeah, that was a horrible job by him and his staff. Other than Wade Phillips, I mean, I knew their defense would show up, but
and hold on, this might be the Eagles fan or like Homer in me, and I've given Doug Peterson a lot of shit, but Doug Peterson is a better coach than Sean McVay. He's beat him head to head both times. He outcoached Belichick. He scored 41 points against Belichick last year, and then this year Sean McVay only scored 3.
Yeah,
come on, man.
I never understood that. My whole thing that I said in my blog for the Rams to win was they had to get pressure on Brady. For the most part, they did.
They did.
And then offensively, I said they had to feed Todd Gurley or C.J. Anderson. This is the biggest game of the year. Where's your best player on offense?
Dude, if you told Sean McVay before the game that the Patriots were only going to score 13 points,
I would have said game over. Game over.
I won. Yeah, like
another Super Bowl. Like same with the Eagles last year. I said I'm surprised how they won. I didn't think they could outscore Brady. And then this year, I was like, they held New England to 13 points. An offense that was rolling, by the way, in the postseason.
Yeah, they were playing very well.
Yeah, and I was like, you turn them over roughly at midfield, the first drive of the game. You hold them to 13 points, and I was like, that's game. Like the Rams are going to win by at least 2 scores.
Yeah. No, I knew the Patriots were going to win that game the whole time.
Oh, I did too. Like I had zero faith in the Rams pulling off an upset. Well, so I guess another poll question. Did you find the Super Bowl entertaining? Neither of us did. I actually talked to my dad today, and he was like, I actually found it pretty entertaining. I was like, based off what?
No. There wasn't even any really good plays.
There was one play, and granted, I was watching, so I didn't really watch the entire, or I was working, I'm sorry. I didn't really sit down and watch the entire game. I watched every now and then. But there was that one play to Gronk that started that 60-some yard drive. Like just the way it worked out, like it was a great throw by Brady. It was a good play design. I was like, ooh, that's a nice play. You know, that was a good play call right there.
You got to give me at least one trick play in the Super Bowl out of one team. Like there was hellish trick plays last year. There were so many trick plays in that game last year. I think there was like 4. You know what I mean? Total.
None other than the Philly special.
Well, yeah, I mean the Philly special was the obvious one, but we ran another gadget play to Aguilar in that game. Obviously, the Patriots ran that pass to Brady that he didn't catch, and they ran another one, I'm pretty sure. So, I don't know. Like, Sean McVay really just coached that game not to lose so bad. He punted from the Patriots 40, 3. Like,
I don't remember that.
Dude, you got to have balls in the Super Bowl.
I do agree with what you're saying 100%. I remember seeing so many times that they would get in 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 3, and I was listening to Sims and Lefko, and I thought the exact same thing that Chris Sims did. I was like, why are they throwing the ball so much on 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 2? The Patriots would stack the box and then just drop 8 because they knew they weren't going to run.
Yeah.
It was mind-boggling. I mean, McVay, I respect the hell out of him, but...
Yeah, he's obviously a really good coach, but I think he's a little overrated. I think the league is overrated him a little. I really do. He has a really good roster, and they have no cap space now. They have a bunch of free agents, and Jared Goff's going to have to get paid here in 2 years. So
I was just about to say that for the Rams. Like everyone's saying, they're going to be fine, which they will. I mean, you got Goff, and they're going to pay Goff, and they have Aaron Donald locked up now.
They're still going to be a good
They're
team.
going to be fine, but Sue's likely gone. Peters is likely gone. They might even get rid of Talib. LaMarcus Joyner's probably gone. Like, that's almost the bulk of your defense now. You don't have an edge rusher.
And the Niners and Seahawks will be back.
Yeah, I think the Niners are going to be a better team next year. I mean, they get Garoppolo back healthy.
Seahawks are going to be a better team next year. They had a terrible roster this year, and they still made the playoffs.
Yeah, and out of shocking everyone even making the playoffs, everyone thought that they were rebuilding.
Dude, I thought they were like a 5-win team.
I didn't think that was that bad, but yeah, I'm with you though. I was like, this team isn't making the playoffs.
To actually see what I thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season in the predictions that we did, but I don't know.
You might have had them I think I had them at 500. I don't remember.
I probably had them somewhere.
Now that we're on it, now I am curious. I think my biggest whiff this season maybe Green Bay.
Has to be.
Maybe. I don't remember having. I know the previous year I had the Bucks in the Super Bowl and that backfired.
My biggest whiff was easily the Jags.
Oh yeah, yours was the Jags.
I was big on the Jags.
I had the Patriots. I did have the Steelers winning the AFC North. And then the Texans and Chargers. I did have the Chiefs making the playoffs, but at 9-7. And then I had the Eagles, Packers. Oh, I know, the Falcons. That was my biggest whiff. I had the Falcons in the Super Bowl.
That was probably everyone's biggest whiff.
Yeah, I think I had the Falcons winning the Super Bowl in the preseason.
I don't know.
But yeah, that was my biggest whiff. Anything else you got on the Super Bowl other than there wasn't much to talk about.
My boy sick, like Jordan. The man, he's probably gonna get 7 before he retires, and that's just like unbelievable to do that in the salary cap era in football.
I mean, I don't see how they're not. I mean, they won this year. If you told me before the season that the Patriots were going to win the Super Bowl this year, I would not have believed it because they didn't have a very good roster.
I had them in the Super Bowl.
I didn't. I didn't like their pass rush. I didn't like their offensive line. They didn't have a ton of playmakers on offense.
That's never mattered.
I know.
Mattered.
I know. I keep falling for it. But no, I don't see how this team could be at least like a 14, 15 win team next season. They have 3 or 4 picks in the first 3 rounds. They're going to have cap space.
They have 6 picks in the first 3 rounds.
Is it 6 picks?
Yes, and they have 12 picks total.
They're going to be fine. I mean, they're going to be fine. They're going to be probably right back there.
They're going to be great. They're going to be great again, unless Gronk retires. But
this is a great tight end class. They'll probably find somebody.
Yeah, my boy Gronk, or my boy Brady. Good for him. Love that.
Yeah, tip the cap to Brady. I've grown to really.
I'm not even kidding. If the Eagles don't win, I think I would rather the Patriots win than pretty much anyone else.
You know who I want to win, but
yeah,
that's
Packers.
That's me. But no, tip of the cap to Brady. I've grown from being a kid and hating the Patriots and hating Tom Brady to now, I'm like, you know what? I was cheering for them in that Super Bowl. I'm tired of the Rams. I was tired of the Rams and their trash talk. So other football news. The Pro Football Hall of Fame finalists were announced. Some of the modern day athletes were Champ Bailey, Tony Gonzalez, Ty Law, Kevin, I don't even know who this is, Kevin Maway, Ed Reed, Johnny Robinson.
Kevin Maway? You don't know that as a center.
I've never heard of him. Maybe at one point. And then some contributors, Pat Bolin and Gil Brandt. None of these were really surprising. I thought Ty Law would get in last year.
Dude, this makes me so, like, these were the players that were the best in the league when I first got into football, and that just, like, makes me so happy. Like, I just remember, like, when Champ Bailey was literally the GOAT corner. Yeah. Like, it wasn't close. He was the best corner in the league. Tony Gonzalez was, like, competing with Antonio Gates, who was still freaking playing football. Ty Law was eating against the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Just eating us alive. Ed Reed is probably the best safety of all time. It's just awesome.
Yeah, none of these... really surprising. I didn't know who. Like I said, I didn't know who Kevin.
Who's Johnny Robinson?
I don't know either.
It's just got to be an old
But I
guy.
believe Bailey and Gonzalez are first ballot.
Yeah, Tony Gonzalez is first.
Yeah, I know Tony Gonzalez. I think Champ Bailey is too. Ty Law, I thought was going to get in last year and he didn't. Ed Reed, I think, is a first ballot.
First ballot.
So yeah, there's a few here.
Ed Reed should get 100% of the votes.
Yeah, he really should have. I was a little surprised. What's his name? Isaac Bruce didn't get in again.
He'll get in eventually.
He will. Just it's been 4 or 5 years now, which is about the average for a wide receiver, honestly. That's why I was so shocked last year that Randy Moss got in first ballot, even though he deserved it. But usually you don't see that. And then poll question: which first-year eligible player is most likely to get in the 2020 Pro Football Hall of Fame next year? Some of the top 4 guys I saw: Troy Polamalu, Reggie Wayne, Patrick Willis, and Justin Smith. Willis and Smith played on those 49ers teams with Jim Harbaugh, in case anyone didn't know that.
I would go with Troy Polamalu. I think he's the best player on that list.
Yeah, because again, with wide receivers, I just said unless you're Jerry Rice or Randy Moss, like one of the top 2-3 players to do it, you're not going to get in first ballot. That's just the way they vote. Reggie Wayne isn't one of the top 2 or 3 guys to ever play, so he's not getting in. Patrick Willis might. But again, I don't think he's as good as who got in last year, Ray Lewis, and Ray Lewis was first ballot.
I think he's better than Urlacher.
You think? Urlacher was good.
Dude, Patrick Willis.
I know. I know. Patrick Willis didn't play nearly long enough.
Dude, that was my only thing with him. But didn't Tony Baselli get in on 7 years?
I don't think he's in yet, but he's close.
Tony Baselli?
I don't think he got in yet. He was on the ballot last year. I don't think he got in.
Either way,
because I think I saw an article today, how much longer will he have to wait? And I'm like, well, I mean, that's what happens when you play 7 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go Polamalu too. Justin Smith, I'm not sure many people know him enough, but he was still pretty good. He'll get in eventually. But yeah, Polamalu, people know who he is.
You need a Hall of Fame name.
Yeah. He won Defensive Player of the Year. He was, those Steelers defenses were so good when we were growing up in high school.
Steelers were always known for their good defense.
And Polamalu was really the driving force of that defense, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And then one more Hall of Fame tidbit we have is the MLB Hall of Fame finalist, which I meant to talk about last week and I didn't. But some details here. Mariano Rivera got in and is the first baseball player ever to receive a unanimous vote at 100%, followed by Edgar Martinez, who got 85%. Roy Halladay, who got 85%, and then Mike Mussina followed with 76%, and you have to have 75% of the ballot to get in. Mussina barely got in. I was a little surprised by that. But the biggest problem I have with this, James, and you might criticize me for it because I know you're a huge Phillies fan, is Roy Halladay getting in first ballot. Have you seen his numbers? And I get that he's dead. I'm not saying he's not a Hall of Famer.
I was about to say, you know why it happened.
I know, and it's because he's dead, and I do feel sorry for him.
They probably put him in maybe a year or two early. Who cares?
Kurt Schilling just missed the ballot. He has better numbers than Roy Halladay. Schilling's been on the ballot for 7 years now.
I think Schilling is a better pitcher all time, but I don't think he's a better pitcher talent-wise. I think Roy Halladay...
I will say this at least with Halladay and Schilling. Schilling was always just great, but there was 2 to 3 years with Halladay. He was dominant in baseball.
Yeah, he was the best pitcher in baseball for a couple years.
Yeah, for a few years. I remember him pitching a no-hitter against the Reds in the playoffs. The dude was, for a 2 to 3 year stretch, was awesome. So yeah, none of these are really shocking. I thought Martinez would get in. This was his last year on the ballot. That's usually a no-brainer. Mike Mussina, no-brainer. Rivera, no-brainer. Just Halladay, I'm like, I get it, but he should have been another year. But I don't have an issue with it. He seemed like a really great guy. So the players that just missed the ballot, and honestly, James, I was looking at the ballot next year. It's full of steroid users.
Because it's from that era.
Well, the first ballot, usually there's 2 or 3 first ballot guys that usually kind of get in over those guys. But next year, I was looking at it. It's Jeter, and then there's a huge drop off. I think Bobby Abreu is up there.
Dude, his best years were on the Phillies.
He was good, but again, I don't think he's a first ballot.
He's not even close to a Hall of Famer. Period.
Jason Giambi's up there. Or was on the list. He's not getting in.
Steroid user, but he's a Hall of Fame player.
There were a few others, just first ballot guys. I can't remember who, that kind of popped out. What was his name? I don't remember. But there just weren't many first ballot guys. Some of these guys, 2 to 3 years, or they're on their second year on the ballot next year, might, a Todd Helton, but I don't see that happening. But next year, next year's going to be big because Schilling's at 60%. He's going to get, I think, another 25 votes next year. 25%, I mean. Then Roger Clemens at 59, Bonds at 59, Larry Walker at 54. I don't remember Larry Walker's name being involved with steroids. He might have been.
No, I don't think he was.
I don't think so either. I could easily see him getting a huge boost, like Schilling, getting another 25, 30%.
Just because, a lot of steroid users aren't going to get the votes yet.
But then, obviously, Jeter's going to get in. He might be another unanimous.
Yeah, Jeter, if he's not unanimous, he's going to be really close. He'll be up there.
Rivera was unanimous. Jeter's not far behind him. So, I got a poll question for you now. Of the first 4 the players I just mentioned that just missed the cut for the Hall of Fame this year, which do you think is most likely to get in 2020? Schilling, Clemens, Bonds, or Walker?
Definitely Schilling.
I think so too. Clemens and Bonds, I said last year that this was going to be a big year for them because they were on a 7-8% climb for about 2 to 3 years, and then they got to about 53% on their 5th year of the ballot, and they were like, if this continues, they're going to get in another 3 to 4 years. Well, the last 2 years, they've gone from about 53 to 56 to 59. That percentage has decreased the closer they get to the end of their ballot. So, and they still have 3 years on the ballot. I'm not sure, but if this continues, they're not going to get in.
Yeah.
But I saw a lot of people voting for them, and I was like, shit, they're going to get in this year. And sure enough, it backfired. But I think just a lot of the younger people like us get their ballots in fast, and they vote for these guys, and then like the old timers send it in later, and because then the percentages went way down.
Yep.
So that's probably it. So I guess we can talk about, golly, we are breezing by. I don't even know how long we've been doing this.
Well, this was a short
short one. I didn't have much to talk about outside of the Super Bowl. So signing day,
Which
just
was a freaking snore, so it was like there wasn't even much to talk about.
No, I know the Super Bowl was boring. Like I was like, what do you talk about?
I said this, but I'm still so like mad that was the last football I'm gonna watch for 8 months. I'm pissed, dude. Seriously, it pissed me off.
It's draft season. Oh, that's what we should have done. Is I had a mock draft, but that's fine. We'll do that next week.
We could have did a top 10 mock draft.
We should have done a mock draft.
It's alright. We'll do one next week.
We'll do it next week. So
I could probably do a top 5 right now, to be honest, off the top of my head.
Well, it's not a great draft class.
It's like a bell curve draft class.
What do you mean?
Does that make sense?
Bell curve.
Like there's a lot of good like second and third and fourth round.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. This draft is, I mean, from everything I've heard, it's good, but like you can probably find some second, third round guys who could be contributors. It's really good in the trenches though, offensive line, defensive line, edge rushers, and it's really deep day 2 and 3 with wide receivers. Not very many number 1s, but like you can get a really good number 2 and number 3 wide receiver. But yeah, so signing day, according to Rivals, Georgia, I think last I checked, finished up with the number 1 ranked recruiting class, followed by Alabama, LSU, Texas, and Oklahoma. And then our WVU comes in at number 48, but we only had 19 signees. A lot of schools have more than that, which we're always, 30 to 50 anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I was bummed we missed out on Darnell Wright, but I didn't expect to get him.
Kid from West Virginia didn't call him. He's going to Tennessee?
Yep. He went to Tennessee.
Get out of here. Why?
Well, I mean, honest to goodness, we weren't even in the running his entire recruitment until Neil Brown showed up. I don't have to tell you.
Tennessee is trash, dude.
Until Neil Brown showed up to campus, we didn't have a dog in the fight with him. And then Neil Brown got in contact with him. He came up for a visit, and he decided between us and Tennessee. And I was like, shit, okay. We have a chance, all right. But no, apparently it's been Tennessee the whole way. That's why Alabama and other schools haven't really recruited him.
Speaking of West Virginia, the freaking basketball team is garbage. Christ.
Yeah. Which is what we get the last few years with being so good, but
yeah, I guess that's the.
No, this basketball team's unwatchable.
Yeah, it's not good. I always get the updates on my phone because I have the Bleacher Report app.
Yeah. Dude. Monday was awful. They got out to a decent start, and I'm like, okay, we'll play well, and then they proceeded to score. They scored 2 baskets in 20-some minutes. They're awful.
It's so
made 9 baskets the whole game. 9. 8. That's not 18 points, but they probably had some threes. But that's almost 8. That could be as low as 18 points. Well, final thoughts. You got anything? I don't really have anything.
I do.
You do? Okay, thank God.
I haven't been on here since the Carson Wentz story dropped.
Oh yeah, please, because I tagged you in that story on Facebook.
All I'm gonna say. And I just want you to literally cut this video off right after I say this. I promise, probably 5 people are going to watch this, including me. I promise every single one of you that Carson Wentz is going to ball out next season. Ball out. Eagles are winning that division. Period. Cut it. Drop it. Carson Wentz is going to ball out next year.